One of Joan's last emails to me was a one-sentence note just to say that a mother of a close mutual friend of ours had passed away, with no word about Joan's own concerns about her health at the time. You see, to Joan, her bridges were more important than the builder herself. Joan also had a God-given gift of faith in those around her. She had an innate sense of people. A quick study, she easily could identify those around her who will excel while never selling anyone short on potential. And she encouraged us even in the most difficult times. She was a rock of strength this past year when we lost our dear friend Greg Coleman, when one of our partners lost her twins, and in our other times of loss. As she said at the time, grief is a journey, but there will be days ahead that will be less painful. Lastly, Joan had the balance of a true master builder. She made sure that each part of her life was plumb and fit together seamlessly. Most important, she tended well the key bridges in her life, those with her family. Despite Joan's busy career, she never lost focus on what mattered most to her. In recent years, she eased off on her hectic work schedule to have more time with David and Noah, her parents, her sister Sandy, and her extended family. In particular, you couldn't spend 5 minutes with Joan without hearing about Noah's latest exploits on the gridiron or David's latest business and charitable plans. When Joan joined our firm, our paralegals, Pamela and Gloria, planned a welcome party for her and asked her for Joan's top 10 favorite things to help everyone get to know her. At about thing 35, Joan was still on Noah and David things, and they decided to stop. Within her first week at our firm, Noah had won some nice honor at St. Stephen's, which Joan proudly posted on our kitchen bulletin board, the big arrow pointing to his name and the words, "My son!" exclamation point. And when Joan got her braces off a week early, she was bubbling with excitement to get home and surprise David. After that, she smiled even more around the office, and I'm told she stopped asking, "Do I have anything in my teeth?" Nothing to Joan was more important than her family. In the end, we know that part of loss is acceptance, is looking ahead to what's next. Joan faced that in her own life, and following her example is a fitting way to honor her. She returned to what she did best, building bridges to and among her friends, colleagues, and family, tending them constantly and carefully with an abiding faith in God, and keeping close to her priorities. Watching all of us do the same thing now would bring out the prettiest dimples in heaven. Amen.
Hi, I'm Cindy Walker, and Joani and I occupied the same spiritual space. A friend of ours, Laura Scheinkoff, was not able to be here today, and she sent these words forward because she thought that if Joani's voice were present here today, these are the words that she might speak. Now that I'm gone, remember me with a smile and laughter. If you need to cry, cry with your brother or your sister who walks beside you in grief. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give to them what you need to give me. There are so many who need so much. I want to leave you something much better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known and loved and helped. In some special way, let me live in your heart as well as in your mind. You can love me most by letting your love reach out to our loved ones, by embracing them and living in their love. Love does not die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away as best you can. And in honor of the golden thread that Jenny so beautifully expressed, I'd like you to physically connect with the people on either side of you for a moment and just feel the golden thread of Joani. Thank you.
I'd like to thank David and Noah and Elmer and Ruth and the family for honoring me with the sacred task of honoring and remembering Joani. And I'd also like to thank Dr. Peterson and the Memorial Drive Presbyterian Church for opening their heart and their spirit in this way. Joani was Jewish. She was born Jewish and lived as a Jewish woman all her life, but shared a deep, loving respect for people of faith and shared her faith with her husband as David shared it with her. And so I think it's very, very much in character for a rabbi to come and share remarks to honor Joani here in the church, because among the things that David and Joani shared together was faith and worship and being together in times of need. I'd also like to warmly acknowledge David's daughter, Erin, who has been a real rock for the family. Erin lost her own mother not too long ago, and at this time, she was the one who's been able to take care of many of the logistics and many of the coordinating factions that were absolutely needed at this time and has been so helpful for the family at this time. Thank you. The remarks I have to share with you were prepared primarily by Rabbi Laura Scheinkoff, who Cindy just mentioned. Laura came into Joani's life as the officiant for Stephen, her late husband, and Noah's father's funeral, and then was able to share in the joy of officiating the wedding of David and Joani together. And so in the remarks that I share with you, there are some personal anecdotes that are Rabbi Laura's and not mine. Joan, Carlin, Schwartz, Spaw, or Joani, was someone who savored each day, loved each person, cared about each interaction, because she knew that every day is a precious gift. She always defined herself as lucky and fortunate, even though she was dealt a few bad cards. She felt fortunate to be raised by such loving parents. She was blessed with a wonderful family and extended families, a supportive best friend of a sister and brother-in-law, loving stepchildren and her beloved son. She counted herself among the lucky to have had not one but two loving marriages with two extraordinary men, and though she died way before her time, we cannot bring ourselves to describe her life as a tragedy. It feels like a triumph. I'm certain that's the way she would describe it. It was not merely her optimistic outlook. Joan had a blessed life, and everyone here contributed to that. She was proud to be the daughter of such wonderful parents and role models as Elmer and Ruth Carlin. She was eternally grateful for the depth and loyalty of the many friends who helped her and Noah through some very difficult times. She was incredibly moved by how much David's family embraced both her and Noah. She felt truly blessed to have had the privilege of being David's wife and Noah's mother. She never took people for granted, and in her absence, we will continue to do the same. When Joan grieved, she knew she was not the only one grieving. She knew that life goes on, and she did not insist that the whole world stop and pay attention to her. She demonstrated that same generosity of spirit when she married David. Without a doubt, David, Yours was one of the most joyous weddings possible. At the same time, Joan knew that it might well be difficult for some people in your lives who had known you in the previous marriages. She understood and accepted those emotions, as they did not dim her ebullience, they only added texture to your well-deserved joy. Joan has a group of friends, and every one of us felt very special. Everyone was special to her. So many people said that Joanie was her best friend, and Joanie made so many people feel that way. It was not that she was always upbeat. It wasn't that nothing bothered her, or that she didn't worry or have moments of frustration. Noah knows this best of all. We were joking one day that she had to drag Noah practically by the ear to be tutored for his bar mitzvah. Joan was a mom. She wanted as much as we all want for our kids, only the best. But here's where Joanie was special. And this is what I want Noah to always know. No matter what her opinions were, her ultimate goal was to launch a human being into the world who was capable of blazing his own trail, able to love and be loved. So even when she fretted, as all moms do, about this or that, she was always able to pull back and let you be your own person. So be your own person, and know that your mother does not expect you to be any one thing. She doesn't expect that you will always make the perfect choice. She only wants you to be your own person, be centered and humble, and to love. Being a mother is a balancing act. Joanie wanted to guide, but not smother. She wanted you, Noah, to be independent, but she also wanted you close to her. She was able to allow a beautiful relationship blossom between you and David. That's a hard thing to do for a single parent. It was equally hard to let you go away to school. But Joanie always had her eye on what was most important, and she steered your lives by that knowledge even when it was challenging for her. As her friend, I will always measure my own parenting by her example. I will always try to lift up my children's well-being above my own needs, as Joan tried to do. Noah, no matter what you do in life, your mother will be proud of you as long as you keep trying, as long as you remain true to yourself, and as long as you continue to give yourself to others. With all the things and all the people she cared about, Joanie cared deeply. Sometimes it's hard to keep going when you care that deeply. There may have been times, Noah, when having a mom who was so insistent on recognizing what was most important could be a little much. About a month after Stefan's death, Joan and her parents and Noah came to the synagogue on the Jewish holiday of Sukkot. They didn't know anyone. They were new to the community, and their grief was still so raw and apparent, and it was one of those crazy family nights, kids running around like lunatics. The place was a zoo, and I looked over and spotted Joanie and the gang. She looked so small and fragile from afar, so I made her way over to apologize for not forewarning them about what a crazy night it was going to be. I stood there talking to her for a moment, and then my toddler ran up to me and started climbing on my leg. Joanie and I were holding hands, and there were tears in her eyes and a smile on her face. She said, "Oh, is this your son?" And she was absolutely overwhelmed to see him. She barely knew me, but she was eager to see another side of me. And somehow she had the capacity to be heartbroken and filled with joy at the same time. As a mom, I was not less of a rabbi to her, and as a rabbi, not less of a mom. Few people are able to see different aspects of a person and accept people for who they are inside. Joanie approached everyone with this level of acceptance. She did not insist that people fit into boxes or live up to rigid expectations. She accepted you for who you are, and as a result, she felt so close to so many. It does not surprise me that Joan found love again, and I will forever be grateful that she found love with you, David. Love begets love, hope begets hope, and the bond that David and Joan shared is proof. Though your time together was brief, it was glorious, and I know that she was so thankful that you stepped into Noah's life and how you did it.